I already had a minute. I figured I would do a quick video on this because a wise man once told me it's not right to judge a man by how he looks. It's not smart to judge a man by what he says, but you can judge a man by what he packs in his tool bag. So I brought my tool bag with me to show you today. First up, the bag itself. I don't actually pack a tool bag in a tool bag. Those things are cheap. But camera bags are really good. Camera bags are typically water resistant. They have multiple pockets. They're really tough. They carry a lot of weight too. So that's why I pack my tools in. So I'm going to go to the main compartment. First thing I have is some channel locks. These are not my normal channel locks. They normally have actual like channel lock, brand channel locks. You use them, everyone has used those before. Second thing that I use is Fluke multimeter. The reason why I use a really high quality multimeter is because you want to rule out your multimeter having a bad reading. On the cheaper multimeters, it's really these leads. There's bad solder jobs. They're just like tack solder connections onto the leads, and that can give you a bad voltage reading or a bad amp reading. So get a high quality multimeter. That's worth it. Safety glasses. I keep a pair of safety glasses on me. I keep some. It's not mirror cloth, it is Scotch-Brite pads. These are basically polyurethane, not urethane, polypropylene or polyethylene filament that's been impregnated with aluminum silicate, or not aluminum silicate, aluminum oxide. So it's got like sandpaper built into the actual filament that they use to make the fluff that is. I keep a couple rags of different varieties. These are actually oil rags. They wick oil quite well. They have like this very open, loose mesh, and that's good for wicking oil. And then a tight woven like cotton mesh is good for different types of stuff like water, cleaning products, what have you. And also it's softer and nicer if you're going to wipe your hands off. Another thing I keep on me is a level and square. This is for determining whether something is level or square. A lot of times I work with stuff where I have about a ½ degree tolerance one way or the other. This is not a ½ degree, but it can help you indicate if you look at this really well. And it doesn't run out of batteries. It's straight up just typical. This is actually a really interesting piece. This is over 100 years old. They do not make these anymore. It's a forged clamp vise. So you can clamp this onto a table and you always have a vise to work with. So it has smooth jaws. I thought about getting actual like grippy jaws on there, but I find that smooth jaws just do an okay job. It has a small anvil. I never use the anvil for anything, but this is actually really cool. Over 100 years old. I use the heck out of this when I do mobile work. So that's a really good piece I'm quite proud of. Vice grips. So if you need to clamp something to something, use vice grips. We live in the modern age. This is a USB phone charger, so it has 20,000 amp hour, or 30,000 milliamp hours. 20,000 amp hours, that would be crazy. But 30,000 milliamp hours are in this battery. It's also a light, so if I need to use the USB light for anything, I can. Well, the little singular LED that has for indicating whether it's on or not, but this is handy. So, straight cutters, dikes, these are actually really good. These are, the brand for this is Eclipse. I use a lot of Eclipse tools. They're just really well built. You can tell if a pair of dikes is actually good by holding them up to the light and closing them, and if you see any light going between the two teeth, then those are not good. That's not a good tool, don't buy that. Next up is these things. These are extraction pliers. They're Vampire Tools VAM pliers. So the trick with these is that if you have like a stripped out nut or something, like, I don't know if I'd be able to get it because of the shackle, but if I wanted to grab onto just that smooth thing, these really grab them, like, quite well. So it's mostly for extracting bolts, strip bolts. There's a smaller pair that does the same thing, but just smaller. What else do I have in here? I have an easy out extraction set. I'm debating whether I should even keep this in my tool bag, because my tool bag doesn't always come with a drill set. But if you have a drill set, you're going to want easy outs, and typically you can get your hands on a drill. But easy outs, very important, again, for strip bolts, strip threads, those sorts of things. I keep a lockout tag out. I keep several of these. There's actually a lockout tag out on my hard hat. I drilled a hole in my hard hat's brim. I have a lockout tag out with my name on it. On my hard hat, the key is on it. I am always able to lock out a machine. Even if I'm not there for a service call to work on a machine, I can always lock it out and be safe when I do that. I have some extra tags. These are not regulation tags, but in a pinch, they do the job. You're still not supposed to use them, but they're there if you absolutely have to, or if someone else forgot their tag or something like that. It's better than nothing. So electrical tape, that's another one that you use. Box cutter, I debate on whether I actually should bring a box cutter or not. Every man, this is America, every man in the world should always be carrying at least one knife on him, and the knife should always be pretty sharp. So I don't know whether I should keep a box cutter on me, but I can always pop the razor blade out and use the razor blade to scrape. So that's why I find that if I use the box cutter, I don't actually use it for cutting, I use my knife for cutting, but I do pop that blade out and use it for scraping quite often. Adjustable wrench, I actually really don't like the design of adjustable wrenches because they rely on an active jam between this worm gear and the rack that does the bottom bit here. So I think they're crappily designed. It's not the best kind of tool for this. There's a company by the name of Knipex, and it makes a better adjustable wrench that actually grips stuff. So here's another tool that I bring along with me. I bring a caliper set, and calipers are one of those things where I don't believe in using the highest quality caliper, because the thing about a caliper is a really cheap $10 caliper on a 1-inch part is going to give you a 1-inch readout, and a very expensive Steyr or Starrett or Mitutoyo, that's still going to give you that 1-inch readout. I also keep a bastard file on me for general purpose filing. This one happens to be the correct size for my bag. Aside from that, I have 3 additional pockets on my bag. I keep a PPE pouch where I keep cut-proof, high-grip Kevlar gloves, work gloves. These things are excellent. They're good on the gun range. They're good for dealing with parts. If you're dealing with sharp stuff, these are the way to go for sure. This is my extra pair. My actual hard hat keeps a pair on them as well. I keep a roll-up spare safety vest. This one is like that polyester, so it rolls pretty much completely flat. There's ear pro in there, and I believe I keep an extra ear pro for no reason whatsoever. I just like those ear pro. Oh, another thing about ear pro, if you can, get the 3M skull screws. So when you rotate these in your ear, they kind of clear up all the space in your ear canal. Not clear up, but they cover all that space. So a lot of times people will be walking around with ear pro in their ears, but there's still air in their ear canal, so they're giving themselves hearing damage. In a mill or something like that, sometimes a lot of the sound, a lot of the amplitude that's around you is actually in the ultrasonic range. So you don't know how loud it really is around you. So you really do have to really invest in good ear pro, because you can go deaf and not know why, because you're not sensitive to that sound, but your physiology, your ear is still getting fatigued by listening to high frequency noise, even if you don't hear it. The front pouch, I keep a fine file set. These aren't actually, I keep a larger file, but the reason why I keep the fine file is because of the narrow profile of it. It can get into a lot of nooks and crannies if you have to manually repair threads or something, and you don't have a tool and die set on you, or a die set, then your best bet's your file. And I have done that before with male threads that are just a little bit effed up. Picks, so you use picks for all kinds of things. If there's dust or gunk down in something, fine, you pick it out. So, screwdrivers. There's one brand of screwdriver that I really like. I really like these Pros Kit Eclipse screwdrivers. They have a pre-magnetized tip, which I guess is kind of a courtesy. but it's anti-static, it's good for doing electronics work. These have been really, really good screwdrivers for me. Aside from that, I can't really find Eclipse brand screwdrivers that fit everything. And flatheads, you mostly use these for prying at, so you never use a high quality, like these are pretty much sacrificial, so you never expect yourself to use a high quality flathead. So I'll tell you what you do use as a driver that needs to be high quality is your Allen wrenches. So when you chowder, you really don't want to mess up a socket head cap screw. So I get Bondus sets, so I mark them with my stuff. And yeah, so I keep those, they're ball in, so I can get at stuff from awkward angles a little bit. But that's what I use for that. I used to have 2 rings, like a ring of those, but the Bonduses were better because you can pop an individual out and get in tighter spaces. I have another screwdriver. I keep some zip ties in here, and I'm actually a bit low on them, so I guess it's good that I'm doing this because I use at least 20 of them. I only have, what, 3, maybe 4 in here. Yeah, I use a lot of zip ties whenever I need to tie something down. Obviously, I zip tie it. I thought about zip tying my camera rig to put the mic a little bit closer to my face today, but I did not do that because zip ties are not reusable. Well, they are, but it takes a lot of effort to reuse them. Another interesting thing that I keep on me is I keep hand sanitizer. This is actually sanitizer spray. It's not hand sanitizer. It's isopropyl alcohol in a little spray thing. So if you get your hands dirty, if you touch something nasty, gray, black, liquor, whatever, if you're working around wastewater like I do sometimes, you get some on you, you're going to want to sanitize it with isopropyl alcohol. 70+% is what you use. I keep some pins. I also keep my lockout key, an extra lockout key in that pouch, some plumber's tape, and some eyeglass cleaners. So you don't ever leave anywhere without this, because if these get nasty and you can't clean them off, you're impairing your vision, you're making yourself much more prone to make a mistake and get yourself hurt. So you gotta keep eyeglass cleaner with you. That's a safety feature. Last pouch that I have, keep measuring tape. I keep disposable gloves, again if I'm working with sanitary stuff. And there's some other stuff at the bottom. There's, this is where I have the charging cord. I keep a USB-C charging cord, and I also keep an adapter to adapt down to iPhone if I'm charging a phone. And lastly, there's the backup. If you lose your key, here you go. That's how to tag out. But that's what I got. And that's decent for the kind of work that I do. I do a lot of wastewater work, some stuff in paper and steel mills. Well, just paper mills nowadays. But that's what I keep on me. I find that it can it reflects what kind of work that I do typically, and it's nice and flexible. I can take this to go work on a house if I need to. Just most of these things come in handy in their given situations. But I think it's a good reflection of what kind of work I do, and by extension, what kind of person I am. So in a way, I'm proud of it. I see ways I can improve my loadout. I like how it packs. I like how many situations it can take care of. But you know, some of the tool choices aren't the best choices that I could make. Sometimes cost is a consideration there, but I use the heck out of this. So like, you know, I use my tools to make money, so I'm not really scared of spending money on a high quality tool. Oh wait, I guess the last thing is silica gel. I always keep a silica gel packet in anything, because if a little bit of moisture gets in there, you're going to want to have a little bit of a buffer to where you don't rust everything that you own in there. I keep electronics in there, so that makes sense. But I guess I can show you how it packs up. It packs up quite nicely, just the same way that it unpacked. And I'm not super attentive about this, because there's like a number of ways you can do it, but I do have particular, I'm kind of particular about some of the things. I'm not super strict about it. Again, that's kind of becoming of my personality, so I guess it's fitting in that way. We got this guy, he goes here. Lock goes to lock. And there. And that's it. That's my tool bag. Might change over the years, but for right now, that'll do.